Anyway, I'm going to give a quick context of the reason why we're organizing a ceramics conversation in Singapore over the past few years. I start off with some of the past editions of ceramics conversation and exhibitions that we have had at various places to give a certain historical context, a short historical context of what had happened and who were some of the speakers. So it's very quickly I sort of introduced some of the European ceramics works in Singapore, and then and then I showcase some of the Singaporean pieces, introducing some of the younger and the established potters in my ceramics conversation, ceramics events over the past few months. The reason is to balance a different amount of experience, a different backgrounds coming from various trajectory, whether they are learning from master potter Iskandar Jalil or learning from master potters from the rest of the world. So we have Daisy To, who studied in Taiwan, for instance, for the first one. And then there are young potters. There's a Taiwanese potter who trained in the USA, and there's Kim Wai Ki, who was trained in a different social background. So each of the talks and exhibition focused on various mediums and various styles of ceramics. As we know, ceramics is not monolithic. They are functional wares and they are sculptural pieces. So this is one of the different ways I provide a thematic background and thematic lineage to each of the different seminars. And then, of course, there are there's also a creative element, a curatorial element, where I invite some of the potters to create something for the purpose of the space available at LaSalle. So these are original invitation, not so much commission, but in a commission way of inviting them to create slab works or plates, which something that we seldom see in ceramics art these days. And then we also branch out to not only talk about the ceramics artwork itself, but we also look at the spaces, pottery spaces outside of the exhibition space, outside of the white cube. You will also see the studios, the workshops, the kilns, and the places where we do firing and the places we do glaze mixing, right? So all these are working spaces that ceramics artists gets to interact with. And finally, for the previous one was a conversation on ceramics collecting, right? So we look at another aspects of the ceramics world, which is how to collect, preserve, commemorate, and give some respect and prestige to ceramics book at the end. So we had two collectors here, one of which is myself. And then, so this afternoon, we are focused on teaching ceramics, the purpose and the pedagogy of teaching ceramics, and what is the different practices, different pedagogies that ceramics teachers have used to interact and to communicate ceramics knowledge to different demographics in Singapore. So I've invited three esteemed speakers this afternoon to share with us their practice both in schools and also in private institutions. Right. And so here this afternoon, we'll introduce the three speakers who are Ahmad Abu Bakar, Nora Yo, and Hairu Hassan, speaking in the respective order, right? So first up, we have, some of you may know, Mr. Ahmad Abu Bakar, who is a very prolific artist who focuses on the ceramics medium. right? He has exhibited worldwide in Asia, Australia, as well as France, among other places. And he has showcased several showcases at the Esplanade, as well as Palais de Tokyo in Paris. So since 2009, on the education front, he has mentored inmates at Singapore Prison, as well as taught ceramics and 3D study at LaSalle College of the Arts, and he's currently adjunct lecturer at NIE NTU. So I'll let Ahmad share his take on teaching in a community college. Thank you, of you.
Hello. No? Huh? Why you always me? Hi. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah. Uh, okay. I guess it will be nice for me to start with me sharing about my experience as a student in LaSalle, then eventually sharing me teaching in LaSalle, and also me teaching in the prison. All right. So I started my education in LaSalle, studying or majoring in ceramics in 1987 to 89. So in this period, I guess LaSalle kind of like about 4 years old. All right. There's a lot of lacking in terms of like structure, in terms of pedagogy. All I guess most of our lecturers they are teaching us or sharing with us based on experience. All right. So I want to share with you all, not in ceramics, but in 3D studies during my foundation year. Something which I guess I bring that experience, and even the projects that I did in LaSalle, when I teach in LaSalle itself, I brought that project. I think Hairul did that project too. Okay, that is the egg project in 3D studies. All right, I'm not too sure whether you're all familiar in terms of like 3D study subject. Basically, the objective is basically to encourage students to discover and explore and doing problem solving. All right, so I did this project during my first day in LaSalle. All right, no orientation. Our orientation is project outline, indicate us to somehow prepare a packaging for an egg. I can use any material that I like to use, but there is a limitation in terms of size. That is 15 cm by 15 cm by 15 cm. And to assure that this packaging is good, solid, it will be tested and it will be thrown from the second floor. All right. And through that experience, we actually have to think. There is no references. This is talking about in 1987. There's no Google, no nothing. And the lecturer just encouraged us to explore and think. Then like we really have no idea how to start the project. But the moment we start to scribble, I remember a friend of mine who sit beside me, he start to draw wing on the egg. Then the lecturer said, so are you going to make sure your egg can fly? Then was like, it doesn't make sense, but it start to speculate thinking process. So eventually, bit by bit of the sharing, why don't you think about cushion? Then they give you, the moment they give us bits of these informations, your mind, your brain start to, like think, explore, and eventually 2 weeks later, we have to do a presentation, and a lot of exciting things happen. All right. I will not talk about my work, but I will share with you some interesting, exciting example where a friend of mine think that she can froze an egg. So she actually literally freeze the egg inside a container, 15 cm by 15 cm by 15 cm. First thing she did is like reach school, go to the canteen, then ask the uncle permission to use his freezer. At 2 o'clock, take the block of ice, throw, and you can see the egg break. Then at the same time, I have friends who actually did a beautiful design where the concept of like pressure. So if you hold and what do you call grab the whole egg, right? Hard evenly, it won't break. So he actually designed a cardboard where it's crossed in between. The egg is right in the center, and literally you can actually throw. So his is like you can throw anyhow. Instead of second floor, you can just throw all the way to the third, fourth floor. No problem. The egg still survive. So, and that experience somehow kind of like say, hey, this is really exciting and interesting where we start to really think. So then I major in ceramics. In the college, LaSalle at that times, we wasn't lucky. We don't have good facilities. We only have maybe 3 working wheels, 1 kiln that can fire biscuit firing. So my focus is more on techniques, skill, and perhaps I approach idea. Other than that, I could not really explore, especially in the technology area. So I graduated more towards sculptural object making. Yeah. So then I went to continue practice. Eventually, I went to study after I finished or complete my studies. I came back. I got the opportunity to teach part-time in LaSalle. And that's where I introduced the egg projects again. So with the ideas of encouraging students to develop thinking process, right? And when I start to have, when I got the opportunity to teach ceramics program in LaSalle, which is only for like 2 years, because eventually after that they changed the programs to more of a fine arts, right? No longer special focus on ceramics. So clay become a medium. So I approach the program in such where I always focus on skill, all right, emphasizing between hand building techniques, understanding clay as clay bodies, and also exploring various types of firing. We were lucky enough, we have electric kiln, we have gas kiln, and behind our ceramic department, we have this kind of like isolated corner where we actually managed to do some experimental or post-firing experiments. We did raku. We did a lot of raku firing there, and pit firing, which is like I had little information about pit firing, but the idea is just to go and experience. We did a lot of experiment, and I remember there's this guy. He's a specialist from Australia. I think Iskandar brought him into. Iskandar paid for everything. So he did a short residency with LaSalle. So he was wondering what we were doing, you know, like, but yeah, I mean, like he joined in, and we had a beautiful pit firing experience with him. And also, I guess the one that I will always remember is like we stay until 3 o'clock in the morning doing gas firing. All right. There, the energy and the spirits of the students is very important. They join together. Uh, we experiments. That's where I guess I learned while teaching gas using gas kiln, where we experience or we experiment with the way how we work between oxygen level, gas, and using with the damper, secondary air, primary air. So here, back to a bit of education. So for major students in ceramics or sculpture students in working with clay in LaSalle, most of the students, for the second year students, the, the approach we design our program in such where they actually have to go through, they have to do projects. Each of the semester, they will have to complete about like 4 major projects. And they are basically thematic given. We give the theme, students explore during the first semester. Then second semester, I guess normally what will happen is like we will bring our students to places like Ubin. Sometimes we travel overseas. Then when they came back, they would just like explore the experience and they make a proposal, and the proposal will be based on that experience. Like for instance, we went to Malacca, then after we came back, the objective of that excursion was to investigate on architecture in relations to the Malay architecture, the Chinese architecture, the Portuguese architecture. And when we came back, we actually explored that theme. But when the students go to did their final year, that is the third year, is more towards self-proposed. All right, and self-proposed for the first semester is a lot of investigations, and they produce range of studies work. Then also they have to complete or at least finish their concept proposal, which followed by second semester, where they have to complete the whole body of work, which is like about 8 bodies of work. So roughly in LaSalle, for the diploma programs, they are quite straightforward in such more of experience, both technical and conceptual based. Yeah. Then at the same time, I guess I also have the experience of teaching in the prison. In the prison, I guess the approach a little bit close to what I'm doing here, basically elective in ceramics, where the students actually have to go through all the basic hand building techniques and learn about glazing, and also they learn more into firing for those students in the prisons. Here, they have like 24 lessons with me. So out of the 24 lessons, I divided them into like maybe 3 sessions of each of the hand building techniques. I always share with them 4 techniques that would be like pinching, coiling, slab, and solid formings, right? And each of these each of these techniques will be like working on something very simple, then leads to something which is more adventurous, in such way I'll be kind of like asking them to do larger piece, or more intricate piece. My objective working with them is to establish skill, and also work on design. So from shape, forms, and also looking into colors, surface, I mean like what do you call the surface treatments of the clay, the material. Yeah. Um, in prison, I guess there is some limitation in terms of like using some tools. So again, here the guys, they will always want to investigate. They want to do more, but there's some limitations. So especially in the chemicals side, so we can't do much. But once they get selected, normally it's like after the 24 lesson, right? They will be selected. So normally we will like take about 4 of them, which eventually they will proceed to become a worker. So when they are a worker, they get the opportunity to further practice uh, their knowledge, their skill. I will still be guiding them. At the same time, they also will be required to do commission projects. So range, it can be cups, can be mugs, sometimes the prison crash. At the same time, they are also encouraged to kind of like do their own personal research work. We have quite a decent library in the prison. So the guys, normally they make some references from artists, right? Then they will have kind of like a discussion between either me, if not the warden, then they will have to have the permissions. Then they will basically propose and they build. So like exciting projects that they actually come with is like the chess set. The most beautiful chess set I've experienced the guys make is actually based on the Chinese terracotta warrior. So I mean, there's 2 students. That's where I learned. One is from different what do you call empire. So and they were beautifully done. Unfortunately, I can't share image because first I have to have the permission from the prison, so I can. So, but when when they actually auction it, I think almost to 10,000 per set, and eventually become a very popular and famous project. So now is like every guys who become a worker, they will always say, okay, can we train this guy? Can we train this guy? Because our current home minister, his favorite, what they call souvenir to bring overseas will be the chess set. Yeah, and also I guess in the prison they are lucky because our president and first lady, they are kind of like a strong supporter of the Singapore. Prison. The place that we where I teach is called Visual Art Hub. It's a beautiful place. Basically, they have painting setup. They have batik setup. Of course, they have ceramics. They have a small workshop where they can do framing. Yeah, I guess because like for the guys there, right? After they finish, some of them they wanted to continue practice. So few things they can do. Some opt to go to studies, so they went to LaSalle. It seems like LaSalle very open to help these students to come to the institutions, and a few of them. So I mean, like Waiki, he graduate from LaSalle. He actually did pottery in prison, but not under me. But when he studied in LaSalle, he was under me. Then he pursued his portrait studies again with Mr. Chua. Then after that, yeah, he is what he is now. Very good, very. I think he's still having a show now at Gilman Barrack. So then we have few painters. Uh, the current big success is one of the LASA students. He just completed his diploma in. He received a full scholarship from NEC for his overseas studies. So there's a few of them who actually starting to, come up from visual art hub and starting to do well in the local scenes. Yeah. Well, I guess that's a little bit of my sharing uh, on this. I tried, but I
Good.
hope I hope I hope I share something.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much, Ahmad. Thank you for sharing. It's very fascinating. Yeah, so Ahmad showed us that there's a certain the difference between skill based, where teaching a group of students the skill set, as well as the social impetus, the social introduction of what society, what other geography, and social stimulant that you need to instill into our students, not just making, but also seeing and thinking, right? Some of the other faculties of human development that is the teacher can instill into a adult. Most of these are adult students doing diploma and older than 25 years old, right? Yes, that's the demographic of your students, young adults and adults. They are both in LaSalle and at prisons. They are, yeah. Mm.
Sorry. In LaSalle, I guess when I was a lecturer there, at that time, I guess LaSalle have already uh, built their establishment. So students who haven't served NS, they were able to start to commence the programs. My time when I was a student, most of the male students will be at least 20, 21, 22 and above. All right. But female students, yes, after O level or A level, they can straight away study in LaSalle. Then in prison range, I have like as young as like 20, and I have old as like 65, I think. Yeah. And just a sharing, teaching there for, I've been teaching there for about 15, 16 years. Interestingly, I met uh, a guy who I know him when I'm like mm, 12, 12 years old. Yeah, become my student. Yeah, then my classmate in primary school, uh, my schoolmate in secondary school. My God, oh. So that's why, like, I was talking to somebody today about drugs. So I guess I do agree and support our government.
Thank you very much. So moving on to the second speaker this afternoon will be Ms. Nora Yo. She's a MOE registered AMIS art instructor, and her background is in ceramics, and she also teaches Chinese ink painting and mixed media to MOE primary schools, as well as the NAFA Junior Arts Department. So without further ado, I'll invite Nora to come and share with us her teaching practice as a Amy's instructor.
Um, am I able to like click on it and just run my slides, the mouse? Is it easy? Thank you, thank you. Okay, great. I'll just move back a bit. Yeah. Testing. Great, great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. All right. So I use the left click, right? Like this.
I think so.
Okay. Let's try. Nope. Right click. Nope.
Okay,
Yeah.
there.
Oh. Okay. So right.
So then it's this.
This and back. Okay. Got it. Thank you. All right. Well, I guess I'm introduced already. So what I'm going to show today is actually a mini clip of how I run my classes, whether it's in any level actually. Of course, the slides a bit. I chose the primary school in relevant because as an AMIS instructor, because AMIS is only practiced in primary school. So secondary school as a MOE instructor, you just need the art so-called certification and stuff. So Elements of Art Studio is my studio that I work under. So that I started up. Well, yeah, it's Elements of Art. So it's plainly said. That's why I use it in blue color. Well, one of the widest tone. So and it's the primary, the beginning of everything, the foundation, everything. Just like in ceramics, there's a foundation that you need to learn. In anything that you want to do, there's always a foundation or principle that you want to begin with, so that you can progress. Right. So yeah, give me a minute. Okay, so this is my slides and welcome to my classroom. I put morning, afternoon because it really depending on the time I go. So instead of having morning one slide, afternoon one slide, I just put them together. So if it's morning, great, it's morning. If it's afternoon, great, it's afternoon. Okay. And yeah, and because of safety and when I handle younger children, so I have to emphasize to not touch anything on the table because they come in, they really rush in, they're very excited. So the last thing you want is somebody taking a satay stick and start, doing something. So I always emphasize do not touch anything on the table because I usually do a setup on the table to show them that this is like the opening of a scene, opening of the lesson where it's prepared, which means that when you end the lesson, there is a closure. So an opening and a closure. So it should start this way and should end the same way. That means it should return the room back to how it is. Yeah. And this is basically a rundown of how I run my lessons. So depending on the lesson duration, right? So I will tell them like, okay, if you this is because certain classroom are just next door, so they don't need this. I'll adjust based on like, for example, they need to travel from one classroom to another because of the lesson or PE, whatever. So I will expect punctuality, which means you have to cooperate with your teachers to come to my classroom at this timing, right? Because we need a certain amount of time to complete the work. So I emphasize that you need punctuality to complete this work, and within this time frame, I need this work to be done. And so that if you cooperate with me, which means that I have students who are less, well, I'm hoping that with this, the students are more focused and I have a time check where halfway through the lesson, I said, this is this time now, where are we? So some students are more aware, some students are less aware, but they will become more aware when you raise the awareness and they know that at this junction, I'm supposed to be doing this and not doing something else, right? So it's actually a preset of the mind to get them focused on what we need to do, because most lesson in curriculum time is 1 hour, but it's never 1 full hour from dot to dot. So you have like 10 minutes before they come and close it, clean up everything, 10 minutes. So you have 50 minutes, right? In between something happens, that's a minus another 5, 10. You only have half an hour. You're good if you still have 20 minutes left to do the work. Sometimes they're late. Some students go missing after recess, things like that. So yeah, so this is that. But with secondary school is a different thing because they practically appear in your room or they don't appear at all. Yeah. Okay, so this is just a rundown of if the school has equipment sometimes, or like they actually have a combined classroom with like art materials, and sometimes it's a storeroom next door even, so for the safety of the children or students, I usually let them know that this is the things I need your attention on to focus. For this I'm using is a primary school slide reason because, like I said, Amy's, and also because it's a curriculum base, right? Because nowadays we actually using ceramics as part of the curriculum. That's why I'm showing this. Yep. So to let them have a bit of understanding how clay works, the recycling that the clay can be recycled, and how to handle the clay. All right. So instead of because we have because I run a team of 12 few instructors, so we have instructors who experience, like, if you turn around and if the students decided to do something, they might throw a lump of clay at you, things like that. And yeah, so the last thing you want is they throw a tool at you. So clay is still not so bad. But that's the point. The point is because sometimes students are a bit excited or they are actually distracted, they want some attention, right? So when you set your classroom tone the management of the behavior, you'll encounter less of this, right? Yeah, because that's what you're handling with, right? All right, so this is just a step by step, like how you do your cleanup, how you know, why all these slides, like cleanup, you can just simply tell them, sure. You can tell them a lot of things during lesson, and that's a lot telling. That means you keep talking and talking. And the thing is, they can't hear you because they are talking too, right? So the thing is, I understand that there's different styles of learning, right? So you have 3 styles of learning. It's just basic. You have audio, visual, and kinesthetic. So to appeal to students who are visual, you have slides that let them read, and you have audio where you are talking, and then when you're doing, you can actually do the demonstration. Yeah. So I also introduce very basic of what kind of clay we use. They don't need to go guessing whatever. Sometimes I use it as a game. This box here, I actually blank it out and ask them to read and make a guess what kind of clay we're using. Right. So this information is not given to the, hey, we're using this clay, da 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 da, dot 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 dot. Rather than now they're participating. So it's a question and answer sort of thing. So you're participating in my lesson. So that way there's more engagement. Because as instructors, we go in 4 or 5 times in a month, so once a week. So we need to establish a relationship very quickly. And the thing is, you need their engagement as soon as possible as well. So you need to make your lesson interesting. So, but at the same time, they learn something from it. So that's why this. So some information dropped off, it dropped at different point, but one little point each time. There's a little information each time. So they learn it as they go along. This one is actually, I don't get them to read. This is basically just to show them, hey, this is how the clay works. There's a sliding off. So it's not a demo. It's actually introduced at the first lesson, especially if this school or students who have not encountered clay at all, no experience. So sometimes I do a quick check, like, have you have clay experience? If this class has done it before or school. So if they don't, this will be introduced where they get little bits of clay and then they will actually play with it. I wasn't torture it because they can squeeze it, pinch it any way they want. And it's very small because the idea is for them to play with it till it dries out. So you want as small as possible. So then play with it, squish it, and it becomes. So I at one point when they ask them when they receive the clay, is to ask them to describe how you feel about it. Midway, how does it feel? And then at the end, how does it feel? How has the state changed from what we call a malleable state to like a semi-solid state to a crumbly state? It's starting to dry out because of the moisture. You ask them, why is it drying out? Why do you think you get crumbs? And why do you can you form it back? How do you form it back? We will stop there. We will get there when we at the next part. So there is this bait in that sense where you say, hey, I've got this question for you, and then you're going to find out the answer. But you have experienced this, so you have experience in your mind and says, I think I know, but I'm not sure. Curiosity, question mark. So let's find the answer. So that's when you have the engagement. The students say, yeah, I want to find out. But I need to learn to find out, right? So, and why this? This slide may not be important, but it tells them that they are doing ceramics. Okay. And they are doing hand building technique. And what is the technique slab? Right? So how is the form of the clay? So this is the introduction, right? Scaffolding the learning as we go along. All right, so this is the curriculum where they use land art. So I extracted from the artist to introduce, this is how the artist look like. This is his work is sand art. Now, how do I relate this to ceramics? All right, so some of his quotes, for example, like his quote and how it's like nature, like sand, right? So we are talking about clay as basic. The basic of anything that you start with, it can be created and it can be changed. It can be altered along the way. Just like sand. Of course, his get washed away. Okay, but ours get fired. But the idea is all this work can be more than what you can see right now. So this is what you need to learn. So lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. There is no secret and there's no surprises. This is so you know what you're learning from lesson 1 up to lesson 5 or 6 or whatever the lesson may be. So it's a preparation for the students that if you miss your lesson, you know what you're missing out. If you're learning, you know what you're learning, right? So it gives them step by step. Okay, this is how clever. It's not like that, and then I do this, and then this. I'm gonna get something out of it. No, there is. I need to do this step to get to the next step. It's really a step by step process. All right, so this is just one slide. Don't worry, I'm not showing you everything. you you guys know, so I'm just showing you that this one is an instructional slide. Why the instructional slide? Couldn't you do a demo and that would have solved everything? Yes. And if a student's absent, you show one time. If a student missed it, you show another time. A student didn't get it, you show another time. So in one lesson, you have to show at least 2 to 3 times. Repeat your instructions over and over again. In the student's point of view, you're nagging. You're talking. And the frequency is they can't hear. Whether it's primary school or secondary school, they can't hear you because you are talking and they can't hear you. So the one way is to show them that I have visuals here. You missed it, there you go. All right. So if you're absent, there you go. While I teach the rest of the students at lesson 2, you missed lesson 1, you can follow. But of course, I won't leave the student alone. But what I'm saying is, this is my assistant, right? It's a visual aid. So let's use it to help your teaching, right? So this is this. The next part would be like, okay, this is actually not a slide, it's actually a video. What happens is each of this slide is actually a video loop. It runs. So after I talk about it, for example, okay, we're going to do this 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let me show you a demo because some need to see. So let's demo. Let's do step by step. So it really depending on the schools that I work with. Certain schools, the video is not very helpful for them because they are not able to capture it and try to do it at the same time. All right, I have schools. I can play the video without me doing a demo. They just look at the video and they start doing. So an assessment of the students is one. You need to assess your students, which means that how to assess a student, which means firstly, when you enter the classroom, right, you look at the whole setup of the students. When they come into you all rowdy, all noisy, jumping all over, skipping and talking among themselves, you know that this class group has a bit more lack of focus or needs more of your hand holding. Then I will not play the video because I think half the time, not half the time, probably they're not going to look at the video. They're just going to look at their friends and then just figure out something else. So I will just leave it as a slide. And then I'll guide them through 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. We're doing step 1. Let's do this. So I won't be using this summarized slide. I'll use 1 slide, 2 slide, 3 slides, slide 4, slide 5. Right, this is summarized slides when especially if I have I do a recap at, for example, like CCA, for example, sometimes, you learn a recap of the previous lessons rather than having to flip through everything. So I use a summarized slides of all 4. So you have to use your visuals slides or your aids in the way that you cater for your learners. Yeah, so I have looping thing that keep looping, so you can see if you missed it, if you missed my demo, don't worry. There's the video. Look and follow. Okay, so if you miss this, because you keep looping, right? Yeah. All right, so this is an outward requirement. I would always specify what I want in this lesson and the whole entire project. What are we looking at? The finishing from the starting to beginning, right? Keep this in mind. What am I looking at? This is objective. A project or the outward requirement. Lines and space, this and this, this. Whether for any lessons I teach or CCAs, it's the same. 3 criteria. All right, just break it down what you want to achieve at the end of this lesson, and then you check back with them. Is this the criteria? Is this what we've agreed we are doing? Is what you're doing in line with the outward requirement, right? Because have students go off. It's not that you do not allow creativity. It's not that you are actually setting a boundary, right? Because you need to meet a certain criteria. It doesn't stop creativity in any way. Right, just letting you know that I don't have holes in the plate is not it's not stopping your creativity because I'm looking for a plate. If you want to build technical skills, you want to build your foundation, you need to get it right first. The next step we're looking at exploration. Yes, The next step, you can talk about aesthetic and, you scaffold your learning. You want to start with creativity? Yes, you can. But if your foundation is not right, as you build along, you will veer off, and then you realize that when you want to do something that is more technically challenged, you're not able to. You're lacking in a lot of skills. You still need to learn it. That's the part of it. So the core has to be clear. These are samples of students' work through the guidance of the steps, which is to tell the students it's not about how good these are. The message is it's achievable. Despite all those outward requirements, they fulfill the criteria. So you're letting them nice and space, there's carving, there's all this. And you do not have the doubt whether you can do it or not, because all you need to do is just to try, right? If you try, these results are achievable because these are done actually by P6 students. All right. And also, when we work with the schools, the agreement is we don't touch up the students' work. All right. You can show them, facilitate, you can coach. The last thing you want to do is to change the entire thing so that it looks good. Right? Whichever way you think looks good in that sense. So we only demonstrate. So when let's say we want to show the students how to say, oh, teacher, I need this, can you show me? Then we ask permission, is it okay if I show you on your, for example, plate? I show you this to you, you can choose to do this or that. Is it okay? Can. After that, I remove. For example, they want to do add-on clay. I want to do a heart shape. I want to stick it here, but I don't know how to stick. I don't know how to join my clay to this. Can you show me? I said, yes, I can. So let me show you. Is this what you want? Okay, this is how you do a heart. This is how you join. Is this how you want it to look? He said, yes. Okay, great. Then I'll remove it. Okay, now you can do it yourself. Right? So they know that, oh, if I ask, right, it doesn't mean I'm going to get a heart shape stick on my plate. I'm going to learn to do it myself. So they're not going to get you to do, oh, okay, teacher, don't do stuff. Can you do stuff for me? Yeah. Can you do a moon for me? The next thing, you're going to get more requests. Right? So this is learning through their own desire. And they said that that's what they want to do to learn. So also finish works. So it's to show them, okay, this is the glaze work. So your it's been glazed. So we explain the firing process from greenware to beesware to that's part of the slides, which I will show them. If the school has a kiln, I'll do a kiln tour just to walk there and say, oh, this is a kiln. If they don't have that, I'll just describe to them. It's just like a huge refrigerator where you open the front and you put things in, but it's a big oven. Yeah. So, oh, I see. Okay, yes. So description of it, so they know. Oh, that's how you do it. So yeah. So during the lesson, I'll ask any questions. Right, because you want to encourage participation, you need to allow questions. All right. Of course, you have to manage that a bit or so. They will ask random questions. Then I said, okay, that's not a question that is related or relevant to this. I'll answer that later. So you need to set a pace also, a tone that I'm not going to answer any questions. I need to answer questions that's relevant to the lesson that I'm doing, right? Oh, that's it for me. If there's any questions? No. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing all these very fascinating instructions and pedagogy tools that we can use both in the classroom and to instill creativity at the same time. So moving swiftly on, our third speaker this afternoon is Mr. Hairul Hassan. No. Yes, yes. So, Hairul is a Singapore-based ceramist, and he teaches at a secondary school. And he graduated at LaSalle College of the Arts and NIE NTU as well. And since 10 years ago, he has been exhibiting at major festivals and galleries at the Singapore Clay Festival and has commissioned books for NParks and Yayasan Mendaki. So he's going to share with us his teaching practice at a secondary school art program. Is it a general art program? Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. A very good warm afternoon to all of you. Okay. Now my name is Hairul. I'm a full-time teacher and part-time porter. So when do I do my pottery? It's always over the weekend at Tampines Street 93. Right. So on today's topic on pedagogy and purpose, as I was thinking, what should I show? Because Chun Kao told me I have 15 minutes. And, to talk about breath and death is kind of a bit difficult. So this is what I came up with. Uh, okay. Oh, okay. So used to standing when you're teaching, so sitting down. Okay, I'll try my best. Right. So because as I came from secondary school, I have to showcase MOE. Right. So these are the big pictures of MOE plan for the art syllabus in secondary school. We have the lower primary school, we have the primary school, lower secondary school, and upper secondary school. But the gist is still the same, where art is at the center of the so-called Swiss roll. And the three big ideas are the most important thing, because this is a revised syllabus. So in the whatever artwork you do, it must be fall under these three big categories, big ideas. They can be on its own, or they can marry one or two or three, right? And the learning contents and the three core learning experience, building portfolios, art journaling, and art conversations is very in thing now with the new syllabus. Because with the new syllabus, that means the assessment for the national state exam has also changed tremendously for all the three levels. When I say three levels, it means the normal tech, express, and A. Now we are called the G1, G2, and G3. G1 used to be normal tech, G2 normal acad, and G3 are the express. It's also major overhaul that also transferred to the JC at the same times, right? So from this, we have to incorporate the 21st CC, all right? Because this is not only pertaining to art, but all subject across. How you translate it is depending on the school, the classroom teachers, because we are the gatekeepers, right? So from here, we have to consider what type of pedagogy that we want to propose or you want to plan for your students. Okay, now, one thing that we have to take note that as we plan for our different type of pedagogy, we cannot exclude assessment, right? To me, assessment and pedagogy, they come together. Sometimes we think about the assessment, then we think of the activities that we want to show or want to teach to our students, okay, concurrently. The moment you step in the classroom, like what our Nora has said, okay, your eyes, for us, the teacher, we evaluate a lot of things, because in the lower secondary school is a banded. I mean that in that class there are different abilities, the G1, G2, G3, as compared to other lower secondary subject. They just have G1 or G2 student. So we have mix of ability, and we have to keep an eye on all students, because we need to progress, and we need to evaluate, and we need to have a form of some of documentation to show their progress in terms of WA. We call it weighted assessment, right? So this is the envisioning of the new art class created by AEB, Art Education Branch of MOE, that the learning is not just doing and doing, but there's no fun. They must have fun of collaborations, discussions, trying here explorations. They are very much into exploration, and it's not so much of the end product, but the process, right? How the student came about, how the student discover, and how the students work together with one another. Therefore, from there, you can think about assessment, whether how you want it to be journal, you want it to be presentation, pen and paper, because right now, a bit of art history, art theory is embedded in the current syllabus. Not that he's not there before, but that then back then student can choose whether they want to do SOVA, which is the study of visual. But now in the exam component is a written component, right? So we have to teach that in our classroom, bit by bit. So when we have all this, that will make your lesson. Then you have to think about how long you want to conduct this lesson. For example, right, you have one semester. Are you going to have it break into term one and term two, or are you going to expand it from the 2 terms? It just depends. So you have to work out the timetable, because in our current, talking about the secretary, because I'm teaching the secretary, we meet them twice a week. So we have the 2 hours and the 1 hour sessions. So when we do ceramics, we have to think about the drying process. We think how to keep them. And in Singapore, whether it's not, our classroom not as luxurious as this because this place is air conditioned, but ours is not. So the drying process is very fast, right? And on top of that, we also have the home-based learning, mean they don't come to school. So that will impede your progress. So these are some of the factors that we have to consider. And mind you, even though we have a so-called plan, our scheme of work or lesson plan, it's not, it's never we follow it religiously or structurally because of time and our because of profile of students. So as a teachers, you have to be flexible as and when you need to pull or push to put the students or expand or extend the project. It depends. So long is within a certain deadline that you can comply with, right? So from here, you can, because this is an ongoing project, so my students have not really completed it. So from here, you can see that these are my current Sec 3 students. They have not touched clay. Some of them maybe had, but probably in primary school, that was so long ago. So that was just a simple coiling activity for them. Having fun, like I say, like within 1 minute, try to coil as many as possible and then create, because I just taught them coiling. So this is what they came out with, right, within that time given to them. So this is not a finishing product, but they're just exploring, right? So I was quite amazed when I saw what they did, because like sometimes being a practitioner can be quite disadvantaged, because you expect a lot of yourself in terms of the quality and so on and so forth. And when you see student work, you might not want to say, you have to level up the skill, the aesthetic and so on and so forth. But I let my hair down, and when I see that, I said, okay, this is quite interesting, because like, I never thought that they could come up with something like this. And yeah, so they were having so much fun. And yeah, the thing is that I learned from myself that not to handhold them too tightly, let it go, let them enjoy. And from there, that when you see them smiling and happy, that's the fun thing, right? Second, again, I mentioned journaling is quite a big thing. So this is some of the work that is submitted. You can see that the sketches is very simple, which I think is easier, because I told them sketching is not about perfect showing a beautiful artwork, but it's just your thought process in visual. And of course, please give a right annotation and so on and so forth, as it's easier for the assessor or even for you when you assess your work, that you know what you are writing, rather than you just scribble and then there's no some words to support what you have sketched. Right. So I also teach them how to incorporate visuals. When I say visual, it doesn't have to be a reference from artists. It could be anywhere. It could be from 2D, 3D, or anything that you think that you want to incorporate in your work. And be specific. What are you want incorporating in your sketches? So yeah. So these are the few sketches that students submitted to me. Again, the product is not yet. We have not completed the product because it's still ongoing. Okay, so the last slide. So I always tell students that not this growth mindset not only applicable to students but also applicable to me, right? As I unravel these ceramic educations with my students, right? Uh, yeah, there are a lot of challenges, and when I see them do the work, I find that they are motivating another, because our class is quite small. We have 6 girls, 2 boys, so just nice for me to teach ceramic. To be honest, for lower secondary, I'm not comfortable because they are 30 over students, and the time duration is only 1 hour. And sometimes as a teacher, we have back-to-back classes, and uh, keeping the clay, the infrastructure is very challenging. But right now the class is just nice, right? So I always tell students that when we are doing our work, these are some of the things that you will overcome. You will be find challenges, but how do we overcome and how do we move from that? Again, I say this not only relevant to my student but also to myself, that as much as sometimes when I already have so-called a perfect plan, perfect SSOW for my students, but I need to tweak, because at the end of the day, you need to know your students. And different students have different profiles. Some are fast, some are slow. Some are not even willing, but some rather because they have no choice, they have to take this subject. So how do I motivate this type of student? Because at the end of the day, we want them to pass. And I sometimes also, I do not want to give up. It's something that subconsciously we are tell them to be resilient, right? And if we put our heart and mind something, we can achieve something. Yeah. So that we conclude my presentation. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe invite the three speakers to join us in the front for a quick Q&A. Thank you. So I asked the speakers a few questions, then our audiences may also think of a few questions and later on. Yeah. So to start off with, you have introduced different types of students that you have interact with, whether in schools or in different institutions, education and community, social and institution. What is maybe one thing that I understand that the MOE create a more structural framework for you to insert the arts content, right? But on the other hand, in higher education and in social institution, you have to inculcate, develop your own direction and approach to arts education or art at ceramics education. What is maybe one or two things in terms of core values, in terms of um, human development, personal development that you try to instill in your secondary school, primary school, or adult students that you feel that would be rather essential while making art?
Well, I guess for me is to always keep them feel inspired. All right. And I guess I'm from the era where we are quite firm with the ideas about discipline. So yeah, I think discipline is very important in terms of like yeah, just to share how I learned throwing. My lecturer, which is Lim Ming Kwang, all right. For the first semester, all you want is at the end of the semester 6 pieces of cylinder, no glazes, which will have to be fired at 1280, somewhere around there. But every week we have to produce 100 cylinder. All right. And eventually, throughout that whole process, what I learned is not only making a cylinder, but I learned about clay body. I learned about challenging myself. I learned about the disciplines of perseverance, right? And those are the things that I guess are quite important, or actually very important uh, in developing skill, confidence, and also knowledge. Yeah.
How about for Nora, for primary one, primary two, your primary one, primary two students, how do you shape their growing years?
I would think if I had to, values, I think for it's always about learning. So it's an attitude. Attitude for learning because as I was take the standpoint as an instructor because I don't see them every day, so weekly. But I will tell them that you were going to encounter many teachers and instructors along the way. If you have classes or whatever, you're going to meet different so-called teachers along the way. And the very common thing I hear from students, I learned already. I know. I say, okay, show me what you know. Right? Show me. Then they will do something, they've learned it once. So the challenge is not about them, you're proving them. No, I'm letting them know that through your actions, you are telling me that you have not fully learned. And that if the child is trying to show me that they have learned and they are not able to, which is to say that I need more time to allow this child to see and experience more learning. Because in his or her mind, I've already learned. So the door is already half closed. So anything you introduce to them, say, I'm not going to use your method because I know. So I'm going to do what I know. it's always very comfortable to do what you know. So to break that is to not challenge, say, oh, you don't do it right now, but to say that, hey, that's a great method. Would you like to know one more? So right now you know 2 skill and not 1. So you have open a door for them, say, hey, you know, you learn, yes, but right now you got 2 teachers, so you got 2 skills. You learn from 3 teachers, 3 skills. Then you're going to get better and better. Right? So the thing about this is about openness, the willingness to try, to keep learning and keep asking questions and to keep progressing, and you get better at it. So I think it's the attitude and openness to learning. So that's my take. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And for Hyrule, for your 8 students that you
Okay.
often.
Right, I think for arts in secondary school, whether in lower sec or upper sec, I always tell them that what you learn during art is not just about skill, but I think the most important is that the soft skill that we imparting on you. For example, soft skills such as problem solving, creativity, uh, and integrity, self-discipline, and so on and so forth. And it's something that you not only can be used in during art lesson, but it's also transferable to other subject. So you can incorporate your math, your logical thinking into art, into problem solving, or you can deduce what you learn in history about when you learn about coding, about the different sources, when you do your research about certain artists. So these things are transferable. So don't just see art as just a skill, but as doing, but they are soft skills that is very essential and it's very useful in the future. So this is how I try to so-called win them over, because especially in lower secondary school, not all students will like art. But I have to agree with that, because just like us, we all don't like math, right? So this is how I explain to them. The soft skill is very essential, just not the skill itself. Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing. So maybe the second question is to turn the question back onto ourselves and to see, after teaching different groups of students, what have we learned ourselves, either for our own personal development or our own ceramics art making. Maybe you'd like to share.
Hmm?
What have you learned from teaching the prisoners and teaching the adult students?
Well, I guess it's more about, especially when it comes to the working with the inmates, right? I think it's more about I myself get inspired with their eagerness in terms of like within such a limited opportunity. And these are all people who went through quite a different backgrounds, right? And they are open to the ideas about, engaging to the subject that I am sharing with them. So, yeah, it's just like, I'm quite, oh, I would say, is inspired back by their enthusiasm.
Stories with
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think more towards that directions. Yeah.
Thank you. And for Nora, coming from different background as the students.
The learning for me is, I think, not just either. Okay, let's put it. The clay or ceramics or pottery, the clay itself is a medium where we can speak the same language. I'm in the same space with you, and we are using clay as a language. It's a common language. So I feel that with the clay, it allows me to speak with, because I also did a small project with the special needs, and that was one of a lesson that I learned, that there is so many versions of learning. There is no one way to learn, and there's not one so-called what you call it, method to teach. And it always challenges me that how do you teach a class of 30 and you have different learners at a different the what is the best that I can do for these students to at least ensure minimally, other than the product outcome, that they have learned through this clay, that they can feel better about themselves, that there is something that they can do as well as anybody else. It's a way of raising their self, I won't say esteem, but more of the self-confidence a little, and always find ways to encourage them. Because sometimes a little bit of stories get a little bit of them actually comes out through their work. Even though it's a so-called curriculum, a little bits and puzzles of them actually shows through their work. If a student didn't feel well that day, something will happen to the clay, and it's no longer a plate; it's a lump of clay again. Things like that. So they do tell what happened to themselves. They actually express that through the work as well. That's why I said that language is something I keep looking out for, and that's a way we communicate with the students as well. So it's really keeping a good lookout, and so it's like an emotional connection as well. So I realized that the awareness of that the same language is important. So it helps us to actually cater our program better for a wider range of students.
Yes, thank you. So in a way, the engagement is not one direction, but the students is engaging back to us as educators, right? So it's a two-way communication and engagement process, where the students is trying to communicate their learning eagerness or unwillingness back to us, and we respond accordingly as educators. So for Hyro, is there something as a ceramics practitioner you must have learned something from your students?
Okay. So I have taught in my secondary school students. I also have taught a student from a less fortunate background. I also have like conduct a workshops, short workshop with elderly who are staying in the hospice. So one thing that common between all these people that I work with, that the level of excitement when they touch clay is something I resonate very with them, because even up till now, like been practicing, it feels wonderful when you touch and play with clay, and that's something that I can see the spark and joy in them, and something that resonated me very, very even up till now. So this thing is something that I thought I'm the only can feel the wow, but when see them feeling the wow, say, oh, that's great. They actually enjoying it. Even before they actually started making the feel of touching, they really excite them. It's something that I really connect with them. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe you can open the questions to the floor. Is if anyone in the room would like to have a question?
Any questions for us?
I think yes.
Hello. Oh, okay. Hi. My name is Nicole, and my question was that because just now Nora said that they need techniques first, like before you can do a lot of exploration, which I agree. But sorry, like you mentioned also that not to handhold them too much and let them enjoy and have fun, which I also agree. So I just wanted to ask, how do you like find the balance between that, like being able to make sure they grasp the technique properly, but also at the same time not be too strict and let them like enjoy and have fun. Yeah. Maybe both.
All right. For me, it's like I'm a type of person. I mean, it depends on everyone teaching philosophy. So everyone have teaching philosophy is the one that direct you into your pedagogy. Because I believe that as much as I give them, I mean, I did teach them coiling, but I don't really like be so technical about it, because I want them to try, fumble, and fall and learn. So this is my teaching philosophy. So when they discover, when they do, I find that they're actually learning, and that's where they find the aha moment. Rather than I give a very direct instructions, then for me, there's no room for learning. You're just following instruction, just doing science experiment. Yeah, this is my take.
Yeah. Okay. For me, the first thing is when we talk about foundation, what are we talking about? If they are going to do pinching, are you going to teach them slab? Are you going to teach them coiling? Are you going to teach them everything? Is that foundation for you? What is your foundation for the thing that they're learning? That's the first question, right? What foundation are we talking about? Skills needed for this outcome. Then the balance is there is a part where you were giving. I'm not talking in measurements, but I'm talking like basically if I were to break this in parts, right, for easy understanding. If I were to teach a skill, that's only take a quarter. Let's say I'm going to do 4 parts, right? A quarter. You will need to know how to do pinching, how your hands move. Of course, there are many ways, right? Understanding what pinching does. When you squeeze a clay, it expands. That's the science behind it. You squeeze it, it doesn't get bigger. So what is this technique used for? Right? So if you pinch, it gets bigger. If you want to get smaller, you don't do pinching. Understanding what this technique does. After that, this is how we build. How do you increase the height? Coiling. You need to learn coiling because you want to build the height. Of course, there are many ways you can do slab or whatever. But if we are teaching coiling, then we teach them coiling. You can't pinch the height. You can expand it, but you can't pinch it upwards. I mean, you can expand that a little bit because of the clay that you have, but you can't build taller with pinching method unless you add coil, right? You join. So the coiling, then the pinch, right? So that's 2 methods. So what do you want in the outcome of it? Right, then after that, then you finalize whatever that is. So the aesthetic doesn't change because it's still their plan. So when you're coaching, you want them to have the idea. With the ideation is they do referencing, they do the brainstorming. The first thing about brainstorming is not to figure out whether you can build this. You don't have to figure out how to build this. You don't have to figure out whether you can build this. You just have to work on your inspiration, what is the idea you form, and just form the big idea, the biggest idea you can form. Because the building comes when you experience it and you have this technique, then you know how you can put them together. The moment you think about how am I going to build this, how am I going to build that, the answer is you can't build anything but this because you have actually boxed it up. So thinking out of the box allows you to not think about the box first, but to start thinking first. Don't box it up. Think it first, then you work your way around. Then you can start building and you will form that artwork that you envision. And you realize that some things you can't build. You might have to reduce, but you might have found something else along the way. So yeah, that's how I look at it.
Thank you. Is there another question? Anyone? Okay, yes.
Hello. Okay, it's on. Hi, my name is Leila. So this question is specifically directed to Mr. Khairul, but if any of you also wants to join in, please do. My question is, as you mentioned, art is not for everyone when it comes to like the students, but you get to see who decides to take up art in upper secondary, for example. So I know we don't really have a lot of time with the students, like maybe 1 hour per day and stuff like that. But I am just curious to know, like, do the students ever mention why they decided to choose like art over like other subjects? Do they have like a clear goal in mind that they want to achieve by taking up art in like upper secondary school or anything like that?
For the current Sec 3 student, majority of the student, they chose to take up because they like the subject and they want to take up this subject at probably Poly or JC. I have one student who did not pass art at Sec 1 and Sec 2 because there's so many problems with this kid. But surprisingly that he was put into this elective. But I told him, let's work together. Don't give up. I mean, like, I'm here for you. Because I was his form teacher, so I can see his development. Just that again, you see, he has a lot of packages come from home, so that could be one of the reason why he did not show his fullest potential yet. But for to answer back your question again, yeah, I mean, like I told students, sometimes when we take art, after post-secondary school, it's okay if you don't take art. You can go on and take other subject, because we are very practical society. We know what we need, how to survive in terms of job and so on and so forth. But I think again, go back to what I mentioned just now. But the soft skill is very important. That's something that you have and carry with you even after you have graduated from secondary school, move on to your tertiary institution, and eventually you join the workforce. This is something that you learn and will be with you. Yeah. Does that answer my question? Your questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. We are running at 5:30 right now. So thank you very much for everyone to join us this afternoon, and also a round of applause for our three speakers this afternoon.